8'sweather.com. That's 1-800-423-5457.
Currently in our area, 83 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, showers early, low 56. Chance of rain, 30%. Friday, sunny skies, very warm, high 90. Friday night, partly cloudy early with increasing clouds overnight, low 59. Winds light and variable. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Season.
Good heavens, absolute punishment.
Every second counts.
You don't want to be on an interstate with heavy tropical downpours.
America's most trusted news network is putting your safety first with minute-by-minute coverage, keeping you ahead of the storm.
This is a dangerous hurricane.
Receive instant information from our team of meteorologists and landfall cams that bring you every angle on our TV app. This hurricane season, protecting America, only on the Weather Channel.
Violent tornado, violent.
You know, just looking at that video, you would think that we were in the plains based on the intensity and the size of that tornado, but it was just one of the massive tornadoes that ripped through Florida yesterday as bands from Hurricane Milton worked their way across the state. This was Fort Pierce. We had widespread damage in this area. Now, not too far from Fort Pierce is a community of Lakewood Park, where they also saw damage from yesterday's tornado outbreak. Meteorologist Reynolds Wolf is there with a look at some of the destruction. And Reynolds, you know, a lot of times with these tropical tornadoes, they spin up really quickly. They tend to be weak. They can and do cause damage, and they're transient. They tend to leave pretty quickly. But this was a different beast yesterday. We had just bona fide supercell tornadoes that were very large and very damaging.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you saw this video and you thought, okay, that is from Oklahoma, or you'd say, okay, this is Northern Plains, you'd buy it because it does seem to fit that criteria. Just it has that look about it, right? Well, this was something very different. You know, it was one of those days in Florida, the last 24 hours, that weather-wise, you needed your head on a swivel. Really, I mean, it's just ridiculous, the type of stuff we've been dealing with in terms of the hurricane, obviously, now the tornadic activity. You might be able to detect the sound of a chainsaw off in the distance. That has replaced the sound of the roaring wind that came through here just over 24 hours ago, leaving the damage like you see here right behind me. You've got, of course, a lot of tree damage here, a car that is, I think it's a total loss. And this building, well, it's devoid of the roof, but you can still see some of the walls here. And what's really bizarre is the inside of the garage that you'll see right there. You've got some items on the shelf, and it looks untouched, really. That's the case. And then, I don't know if we're able to see it from this vantage point, there's a house next door that was completely unscathed. But that often happens, Jackie, as you know very, very well. There is this weird surgical kind of pattern that can sometimes happen when it comes to tornadoes, how it can be very specific, hits one area, but misses another for no rhyme or reason. I mean, it just happens. Meanwhile, when you have a hurricane, it's almost like a giant wrecking ball that goes across the landscape, really. And this is a bit different. And certainly one thing that is a commonality with what we dealt with when it comes to the hurricane, you have loss of life in both. Lives lost here, lives lost there, a lot of heavy hearts, and people are certainly trying to come to terms with what happened here just a short time ago. Back to you.
Right. And of course, surveying the damage out there the next couple of days. Reynolds, they say that they might not even go out there until tomorrow because some of the conditions are still so difficult to even get to some of these locations. That's our Reynolds Wolf reporting live for us today. So let's talk about all these tornado warnings. Wow. Right?
So I saw a stat. This was the most amount of tornado warnings in a single day since the super outbreak in 2011. In a single day.
It's just hard to believe. And a lot of it unfolded in such a short period of time, especially the really strong ones. And these supercells were actually training over the same areas. So a lot of those spots into, Fort Pierce, just south of there, over towards Hope Sound, working its way over towards the Space Coast, they just kept coming in over and over again. So they had multiple warnings and multiple rotating storms that moved right over the top of them. So there you go, 126 issued by National Weather Service offices in the state of Florida, a record for the state in one day, 55 alone for the National Weather Service in Miami.
And I know NWS Tampa also set their record as well, and there's that second highest number issued in the U.S. in a single day. And there's all the tornado reports. We obviously had damage in Fort Myers before the even gusty winds arrived, here across Alligator Alley, around Lake Okeechobee, and then all along the Gold and Treasure Coast, which was pretty much just north of West Palm Beach.
So this shows you kind of the evolution of the whole thing as some of these outer bands started coming in. We had a few little supercells, and all of a sudden, boom, it just exploded so quickly. Everything just kind of lined up. And west and east of the Interstate 95 corridor is really where some of the strongest tornadoes went. And then, of course, we can see where the eye wall came in and caused all that wind damage as a result of that.
Look at this one coming in just to the west of Fort Pierce, and then that cell coming into downtown Vero Beach, also causing significant damage in several of these communities. These are tornadoes that Florida doesn't typically see. We get tropical tornadoes. A lot of times they're very brief, and a lot of times they're kind of undetected by the radar. Not this case.
Right. We had a debris ball signature there. We have the debris signature here on correlation coefficient. We get a little secondary severe weather here in the fall, primarily because of tropical cyclones.
Exactly. All right, much more to come here as we look into Florida recovering now just mere 24 hours after Hurricane Milton made landfall.